kind of keep this thing moving, I think the next conversation obviously becomes, as it inevitably does, we all thought that Gretzky's goal record was untouchable. Nobody was ever going to break it. Alex Ovechkin swings in and breaks it. And now here we are. Assuming that Alex Ovechkin ends his career after, let's say, next season, because that seems to be the conversation. He ends with, I don't know, we can assume 940, 950, who knows, right? Like somewhere in that region. Do you think that it will ever be broken again? And if so, who do you think is a possible candidate for it to happen?
Well, I don't know. I think it's impossible to say things will never be broken. Because, I mean, who knows how the sport will change? Who knows what the next great talent that will come in will be? It's maybe the person who breaks the record hasn't been born yet. Like, it's impossible to know. And there are ones we can attach to with more certainty, like Gretzky's point record. But with the goal record, I mean, we've seen it be achieved now. We know that it can be possible in a modern context. And we do have a few contenders. Austin Matthews is the one that I think a lot of people talk about because he is, I mean, it's tricky / impossible to project out this far because he's in the prime of his career and we don't know what he's going to look like when he's, 35, 36, 37. He's not going to score at that same pace. But looking at the pace he's at now, he would reach the 895 mark in 1,300 games. So that's another 800 games or so. And this
easy work.
This website is saying easy work. No,
easy work.
This website is saying it would take him 11 more seasons of scoring at his current rate to pass the Gretzky record. Matthews would be 37, so a couple years younger than Ovechkin. Give or take, if you give him those extra couple of years to make up for the slowdown, and if he does play till 39, barring no injuries, barring no nothing, impossible to project. But it's within the realm of possibility. Whereas if you say it's Austin Matthews or McDavid or anybody going to break the points record, it'll be like McDavid is 70 and playing on one leg and.
I don't think McDavid's that far off. He's not gonna. I'll to be clear on my opinion on it. I do not think that Matthews is gonna break it. I don't think anybody in the NHL currently is gonna break it. But the argument for Matthews, there is an understandable one there. Because currently, if you actually look at the stats, Alex Ovechkin scores in 60% of his games right now. 60 on the dot. To get to the record, that's what he had to do. In, I think it was 1,423 games or something stupid. Matthews, so far in his career, is averaging a goal in 64% of his games. Obviously, he's still in his prime. He's still in his 20s. That's the important thing. Right? He's still in the prime of his career. And I'm sure if you looked at that number back when Ovi was 30, it'd be a very different conversation, right? But I don't necessarily think that Matthews is going to age as gracefully as Ovechkin did. I don't think his style quite lends himself as well to that. But an argument could be made that he has a pillow, 64%. He's got 4% to lose. There's a pillow there. There's a possibility that he only falls off 4%. You never know. Anything is possible. As for McDavid, I just wanted to throw this out there just to please all the Edmonton fans out there, because I am going to play devil's advocate for McDavid. He's not as far off as you might think, because when I heard people saying, "Oh, maybe McDavid will break it," I immediately laughed at that because I think that's stupid. He's not going to, but I mean, 51%. That's very respectable. He'd have to crank it up 9% and then make that his average. But it's still a respectable number. And just to bully Bedard, as a lot of people have been doing this year, because I was curious, so far in his career, scoring in 28% of his games. So I don't think he's probably going to do it either. Awful. Garbage.
Cut him from the team.
Unrecoverable. Trade him to the Flames for
fraud. Yeah.
Well, it's okay. We'll fix him. But
the other thing to think about in terms of some of these records is there's also just the things that there's injuries and there's all that, but there's also just like league-wide stuff that nobody could predict or control as well.
Worldwide
like
stuff.
Thinking about
occasionally pandemics happen.
Like, would Ovechkin have reached this milestone sooner if he was able to play a little bit more in the COVID years, or if the 2013 lockout didn't happen and they actually played a full season then? Yep. Or if he was able to come into the league a year
earlier. The 05 lockout.
The 05 lockout was his first season. So you could argue that, he scored 52 goals in his first season anyway. Who's to say that he didn't get gypped out of an extra 50 whatever? Like, when did Gretzky... how old was Gretzky when he started playing, right? In the NHL, at least. Because he came into the WHA at, 17. So who knows, right? That's not this why, it's a fun conversation to have, to say, how far can we project this out? Where will this person eventually land? But there's so many factors that are, it's the perfect amount of, extreme skill, luck, playing in the right era, adjusting your game like Ovechkin did. That's another thing.
To be honest with you,
Matthews needs to do.
I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think being able to adjust to your legs failing you, you're suddenly playing with maybe 25 pounds more than you were at the beginning, and still being able to score 50, that's probably the craziest thing about Ovechkin to me. Because you look at some of the goals earlier on in his career, obviously the one where he was on his back, put it behind his head. If Ovechkin did that right now, he'd end up in a morgue. That's the truth of it. There's no way in hell. But you know what he can do? He can plant his ass on that dot on the power play and rip him. And that's all even if that's all he can do at this point, he can do it well, and he can still do the shit out of it. And he's going to end with 45 goals this year. He's no slouch. If an argument could be made that if the difference between Ovechkin's prime, which was 55, 52 goals, and him right now, which is 45, which is nuts, by the way. If that's the difference, he adjusted pretty damn well. I don't know if... not even Gretzky can say that. If you want to look at... and again, the big thing with Gretzky, and the craziest thing about Gretzky's career, this is a whole other conversation, by the way, which I encourage people out there to look into this, because this is actually a pretty crazy thing. But Gretzky talks about it in his books. He dealt with injuries all throughout the end of his career. I think he got a very, very bad back injury, I believe, in 1990, that he dealt with for the final 9 years of his career, and was the reason he retired. He retired because he just couldn't deal with the pain of playing anymore. It had gotten to that point. If he had never gotten injured, you look at his numbers before that 1990 season and after, it's pretty crazy. And so again, maybe that longevity and being able to adjust yourself isn't necessarily Gretzky's fault. Who knows what happens if he stays healthy? But you look at the comparison and it's insane, because Gretzky is blowing Ovechkin out of the water for the first 800 games of their careers. And then all of a sudden Ovechkin creeps up on him, because the difference is Ovechkin's line is a straight line, right?
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? While Gretzky starts to peter off at the end there.
It's the consistency. You were mentioning that. I got the numbers in front of me. So looking at Gretzky's last few years, so his last season in the NHL, he only scored 9 goals in 70 games. Yep. Comparing that to Ovechkin, who's only played 60 whatever this season. He was hurt for a decent chunk of it, and he has 42, right? And Gretzky was a year younger, right? That's kind of the part of it. And you almost wonder, if Gretzky didn't have those injuries, how much higher could potentially those records have been? If Gretzky was able to keep himself consistent to the level that Ovechkin was, not that that's his fault that he had that injury, obviously, but if he was able to maintain that level. Thinking even looking at these schedules, didn't they used to play 80 games in a season as opposed to 82? That's what I'm looking at here, in terms of him maxing out, Gretzky maxing out at 80 games in a season for the entire 80s, still scoring. This is insane. In a 5-year stretch, he scored 92 goals, then 71, then 87, then 73.
Like, I mean, you could, again, just to play devil's advocate, you could make the same argument about Ovechkin, right, with the lockouts. Everybody has their share. I will say that maybe Gretzky's is a little worse. Just, I don't know. Based on everything I've read about the injury that he had.
It's just impossible to compare. Like,
exactly.
It's just like...
That's true. That's very true.
Because there's so many things you can go back and forth. Like, even continuing on Gretzky, what if the NHL let him play during his WHA years, where he gets to play a couple extra years?
I thought it was only one.
When he's...
Wasn't it only one?
No, he played two.
Oh,
no, played two seasons. He played for, I mean, again, like in the modern day. Oh, no, never mind. It was just one. They haven't split up on here because it's across two teams. But still, if the NHL was... I mean, he was 18 then. The NHL allows 18-year-olds to play in the NHL, as we know, with Bedard. So who knows? Maybe that adds to it. He scored 46 in the WHA that year, which wouldn't have counted towards the
Well, actually,
the overall mark.
I was pretty sure that his Gretzky also. I think this is technically different than the playoffs plus regular season record, but the what's it called? The hockey professional goals record, I think, where it's just in any professional league, overall goals combined. Gretzky has like 1,100 because of his WHA days or whatever. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, Ovi's not touching that, and they are probably right. I guess depends on, does the KHL count when Ovi's playing over there and he's 42?
Yeah.
And shooting it from the blue line and scoring.
I mean, like, Gordie Howe played until he was, like, 80, right? Like, I'm very strong about some...
How many
he played in the WHA after as well. I don't know.
He played like 10 years in the WHA. You know what? This is a whole other rabbit hole that I kind of want to go down. So yeah, I'm curious.
And I mean, Jágr's like still playing, right? Like, somewhere in a Czech league somewhere.
just to answer that question, actually, yeah, it's true. Jágr is still playing. I mean, he's probably scored 2 goals a year at this point. But I don't know if you've seen clips of him playing. I saw something not that long ago, and yeah, he's. I don't think the NHL comeback's coming, buddy. But he's
52.
he's still a prospect. He's still hoping. He's still hoping that the Pens call his number when somebody goes down. But 1,071 total professional goals for Mr. Gordie Howe. So I think Gretzky is just barely on top of him in that. So Ovechkin, how many does Ovechkin have actually? Because he played a few years in the KHL.
Well, yeah, he would have played in the K. That would account for the lockout, right? Like that would give you the.
Oh, it might be a little bit harder to find for Ovi.
Okay, so the sidebar on Jágr, yeah, no, he scored 5 goals last season in the Czech league, playing 39 games.
Yeah, that's about right.
The season before, 15 games, 0 goals, 4 assists.
Because he owns the team. That's the whole thing, right? Like his father owned the team, and then oh no, I think I don't remember the story anymore. But I can't find it. I can't find his professional. Oh, that sucks. If anybody figures that out and wants to drop it in the comment section, feel free, because I would love to know. I can't find it right now. I'd probably have to go digging down some rabbit hole. But I know with Gordie Howe it's a little bit more available because people that's more of a conversation, right? With how long he played in the WHA. But still, it's still very interesting. It's pretty insane that any of this even happened, because now Alex Ovechkin is just kicking the can down the road, and now we get to keep talking about this record. We got to watch the goal record get set, which is not something I ever thought I'd be able to say, because of that is the one thing that, whether it be better or for worse, Gretzky has set a ton of records that we will probably never see broken. Ovechkin has given us the opportunity to see at least one of those records go. And while I get it, for a lot of people it is bittersweet to see it go, I still think it's pretty special. I think that's what the game's about, right? It's about passing the torch, and I think it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool moment for the current NHL because it's showing that things are just getting better, and the players just keep on getting better. The talent just keeps on getting better, and you never know what could happen.